Hey everybody, Casey Muratori here. I am looking to do some videos for promotion of our Kickstarter. We're doing a Kickstarter for Meow the Infinite, Book 2, our graphic novel series. If you like cats in space or just cool graphic novels, please check it out. The link's in the description below. And I asked around what I could do that would interest people. And one of the things people said is, please go over your streaming setup, because people thought the lighting looked really cool and that the sound quality was really good. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm delighted to hear that because it is a super cheap setup. The lighting and soundproofing of this setup are about as cheap as you can get. The whole thing is probably $120 total. And I wish I could say that there was something magic to it, but basically all I did was do the simplest possible thing and just follow some cinema style procedures to get good lighting. So I can show you how it's done. Let me show you a video from my point of view so you can see how it's set up. What you can see here is it's just LED strips stuck to moving blankets in a cube around where I stream. The key light is kind of a large horizontal light to sort of evenly light the face, and then the fill light and the rim light are done sort of vertically so that they give a good contour to the face. And believe me, my face needs all the help it can get. So if you've never done cinema lighting before, just go watch a tutorial. But once you kind of know how to place lights for cinema style lighting, really all you got to do is get yourself the moving blankets and some of these. The moving blankets will cost you $40 to $60 for a full set. You can get 4 or 6 moving blankets in a set. Usually you want to get some kind of heavy ones if you can because they deaden the sound well. But you hang those up however you can. It depends on the room. You might have to spend a few more dollars if your room doesn't have really anything to hang them from. You may have to buy like a curtain rod or something, 1 or 2 curtain rods to hang them from. So your price will go up a little bit. But if you have a room that you can already kind of just like clip them to something or tie them to something, you can save the money. I use actually little tiny clips to clip them, but you know, whatever works for you. You get yourself some of these, and these light strips, you have to buy ones that you know won't have a resonant frequency with your camera, because that's something that can easily happen. I found that these particular light strips that I'll link in the description below don't resonate with cameras, like high quality cameras. So those are ones that I like to use, but if you can find one that doesn't resonate with a camera, that's really all you need. Now inside each pack of these, I'll open one up so you can see it. Essentially what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take this piece that it comes with, right? It's just basically a roll, you can see there. It's basically a roll of LED lights, and it's got a little like IR receiver on the end of it. All you do is you just plug this into a light socket, and then you take the little handy remote control that they give you, and you can just set the lighting to whatever you need it to be. The remote control has tons of settings, so you can make it brighter or darker, you can make it different color lighting, so you can have, you know, different themes and so on. And let me just show you what each of the lights does in my setup so that you can get a sense for them, but then you can also feel free to play around with this. It doesn't have to be set up exactly the way I have it. So first, let's just isolate just the key light, which is the one that's illuminating most of my face. So first I'll turn it off so you can see what happens. You see how most of the light is now gone, like I'm basically entirely in shadow. It's like spooky, Casey, right? And if I isolate it, so if I turn off all the other lights, you can see it's actually totally usable kind of by itself, but it's just kind of boring and it's a little bit shadowy. It's just not that great. And one of the other things that you can see is it's the one that reflects in my glasses. You may say, oh, why is that happening? Because I don't know, if you're like me, I don't like, you see a lot of YouTubers that use those circular lights. I really don't like those because it shows up in their eye as a little circle and it just looks kind of spooky. So I actually like this much better, but you might say, well, in your glasses, it kind of does a nasty reflection. Yes, that's why normally I don't talk this way. I'm normally doing this because I'm doing programming, so it's set up for this direction. And you can see that I've placed the lights so that they don't actually do that reflection for when I'm actually doing my streaming. So you do want to be careful not to place your lights in places where they're going to reflect off something that the viewer can really see. Or if that is going to happen, you could maybe make them a little denser and a little dimmer so that it looks just more like a natural light. But again, that's something that usually you don't have to worry about because when you set up your streaming setup, wherever you're going to normally be pointing, you can usually place the light so that doesn't happen. Okay, so that's the key light. And setting it up is really easy. Again, I like it large so that it gets a nice clean wash over the face without it being too like pinpoint. Let me go ahead and turn back on the other two lights. So there's that fill light and there's the rim light. And if I now turn the key light off, you can see the other two lights very clearly. And I'll just turn each one on and off in series so you can kind of see what they add. So first, here is the fill light. Which is kind of giving the side of my face that's not doing the sort of blue rim lighting. It's giving that side more contour, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to really see that side of the face. And then the rim light, right, is just trying to do that sort of blue, I don't know, filmic style lighting on the side to kind of give it just a little more drama to it, right? So without that, you kind of lose that. Now, you can see them both with the with the key light as well, if you'd like. Here is each one turned on and off individually. So the backlight or the fill light, depending on how you want to call that one, you can see that one turning on and off there, just so you get a sense of what it does for the contour. Here's the rim light turning on and off, right? And again, there's with both of them. So really, that's all that's going on. It's just LED strips stuck to moving blankets that are around me. It's an incredibly cheap setup. $100 and some odd is about as cheap as you're going to get for something that looks this good. Most of the other kind of lights you buy are really clunky, and you'll spend a lot of time and money actually mounting them as well, because a lot of times they don't have really good mounts, or they're flimsy, or they're going to take up space on your desk. Another really great thing about this setup is it's kind of all out of your way. It's just a little sort of curtain setup that sits around you, and it doesn't take up any space on your desk. It can't fall over. There's nothing weird that's going to happen. Now, the other cool thing about this, with this setup, you kind of can make your own lighting environments. You can program these LEDs to have multiple settings. So, for example, I can go like switch them around. If I want to have red, light on my face or something like that, I just can. I can have a blue light or whatever I want to. I set these up to do a standard dramatic film style lighting because that's what I was looking for. But you can actually create anything you want, and you can also remember the settings, because the program, you can program the settings into the remote control, and it will then reset to those when you want. So you can get your streaming set up, and maybe you have one or two of those, and so on. That's really all there is to the setup. As far as mic and camera is concerned, the mics don't matter much. You can get really good sound if you have this kind of isolation with the moving blankets. You don't need to spend very much money on a microphone. I actually use a microphone that's a couple $100 because I happen to have had it from a long time ago. It's a really old microphone, but you can use a cheaper microphone for sure and still get really good audio quality. Camera-wise, I don't have any tips. This is an expensive camera. It's a Sony A7, and expensive cameras make things look better. Better lenses just make things look better. A 35mm camera back with a good lens is gonna make things look better. This lighting will make things look really good even with a webcam, but it's never gonna look as good as if you get a real camera with a lens. So I wish I could say there was a way to do that part cheaply, but there isn't. The environment, you can do dirt cheap. The camera, I don't have any tips. That's why I didn't post a video saying, here's how to get a really cheap camera set up, because that part, you're on your own. If anyone knows better ways, I'm all ears. But with this lighting setup, you should still be able to use a fairly cheap camera and have it look good, but it won't look this good. That's really all there is to it. You don't have to do anything complicated. Just put up the moving blankets, stick the LED strips to them, and then tweak the LED strips until they are the right brightness and the right color for the look that you're going for. Now, you have to make sure, again, don't get LED strips that might resonate with your camera. So always order like one set of LED strips first and make sure they work with your camera before ordering more. I've definitely seen LED strips that will blink really nastily. They like flicker like a fluorescent light against a camera, and you don't want that. So make sure you get ones, and I'll put the ones that I use in the link below, and I'll also put the moving blankets in the link below. That's really all there is to it. Again, please check out our Kickstarter if you get a chance. It's a great comic about cats in space and a lot of other cool stuff. Book 1 was awesome, and the print looks awesome, and so I think book 2 will be just as good. You can get them both from the Kickstarter. That'll be in the description below too. That's it. Put your questions in the comments and I'll answer them. And yeah, have a good time with your new streaming setup.